For decades, Turkey has been pushing to modernize its military hardware with a particular focus on using homegrown technology. Everything from domestically produced combat drones, aircraft and naval ships have entered Turkey's armed forces. And now it is adding a new piece of equipment to that list. Earlier this month, Turkey's defense ministry announced that it had successfully test-fired a surface-to-air missile that will eventually be fitted onto naval ships. Built by Turkish defense manufacturer Roketsan, the missile was fired from an indigenous launch system called Midlas. The weapons will play a crucial role in replacing missiles developed by U.S. firm Lockheed Martin. In recent years, Turkey has stepped up its domestic arms research and development in response to U.S. embargoes imposed under CAATSA sanctions that have limited its access to U.S. defense hardware. So how will these new missiles enhance Turkey's defense capabilities, and how does it compare to others in the region? And for more on Turkey's missile capabilities, I'm joined by David Hambling. He is a technology journalist and author based in London. And Zoltan Egeresi, he's a security analyst and joins me from Ankara. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. David, earlier this month, Turkey's Roketsan conducted the first launch of a surface-to-air missile from its indigenous vertical launch system called Midlas. How important is this?
Clearly, it's a very important part of any new naval vessel because it needs to be able to fire missiles to do its job. And being able to build this technology locally rather than relying on an imported system from the US is a very important step forward because it now gives the capability to build offensive warships without needing the approval of foreign powers.
So, Zoltan, how will these new missiles and the vertical launch system enhance Turkey's defense capabilities?
It will increase the firepower of the Turkish warships, especially in the Aegean Sea or in the Mediterranean Sea. So in practice, it will increase the room for maneuver of the Turkish armed forces, the Turkish Navy, and it will be more modern and, especially as it was mentioned, more independent vis-a-vis the Western partners.
So once integrated into the Turkish system, Midlas will also be able to fire similar domestically produced missiles like Siper Blok, Hisar and Atmaca. David, why is this important?
The whole point of this type of vertical launch system is that it gives you a number of cells on the deck. So rather than having an individual launcher for each missile, you have a whole load of basically boxes underneath the deck. And that allows you to have a whole range of different missiles. So if you've got 40 cells, it means you can carry a mixture of surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship missiles, or ground attack missiles, depending on the particular mission. And having these cells means that all of your missiles are ready to fire at any time.
So, Zoltan, how would their integration add to Turkey's goals to self-reliance?
It will really increase the capabilities of Turkey, and this stems from several factors. I mean, the Turkish endeavors to increase or to establish the local military industry. It stems from geopolitical challenges, as Turkey is in a really unstable geopolitical situation from the Aegean Sea to the Middle East. And also it had to combat various internal terrorist attacks and increased terrorism threat within Turkish borders and outside of the country. And of course, the political debates with Western partners, which from time to time hamper the Turkish military cooperation with these countries. We can just mention the 70s when the United States, after the Cyprus intervention, just embargoed the Turkish military industry, or recently the CAATSA also makes a hardship for Turkey. But on the other hand, this kind of endeavors, the extra efforts in local development push Turkey to increase its capability in every manner, and it will be able to enter in an armed race with several neighboring actors, especially with Greece, what we can see during the last years.
Apart from those, David, what factors do you think have pushed Turkey to press ahead with its own domestic defense production?
It's interesting. We've seen exactly the same pattern in a whole range of fields, from missiles to drones to shipping. And I think this is all about the political desire not to be reliant on other countries for defense capability. And this makes perfect sense in terms of putting all the pieces into place to have the capability to build systems end to end, including the missile launchers, the platforms they go on, the systems that control them. So you need all of those before you can be truly independent. And I think we're now reaching that stage.
So if I'm not mistaken, only a handful of countries in the world, such as the US, China, Russia, Britain, South Korea, Italy, and France, produce the underdeck vertical launcher system. Will its production enable Turkey to emerge as an important competitor in this sector?
In theory, yes, but the problem is you're introducing a new product to the market when everyone else has products that have been there for decades and are well established and well proven. I think if this works as intended, if once it's fielded it can be shown to be reliable and effective, and if it can be offered at a realistic price, then yes, there is certainly the possibility of competing very strongly in the international market.
Zoltan, how long will it take for Turkey, you think, to become a major exporter of these systems?
It will take years, but it's really difficult to predict. So in case, for example, on the drone industry, recent years military interventions in the Middle East, or for example, the Turkish drones performance during the Second Karabakh War 2 years ago showed the reliability of these products and their cost effectiveness, and it's really boosted their international market reach. And we could see a similar pattern at the beginning of the war in Ukraine this year, when the Turkish drones played a really important, especially psychological role in the war in combating Russian troops, preventing Russian troops. And if there are several theaters to test this kind of new Turkish homemade systems, it can also reach other markets if their performance will be adequate and they will be cost efficient.
So, David, meanwhile, the Turkish defense industry has recently completed another test with its domestic armed unmanned surface vessels called Albatros S. How would these contribute to Turkey's naval capabilities, and where will they operate, you think?
This is a fascinating new capability. Because we've just seen a very successful operation by the Ukrainians using their own indigenous USVs against Russian warships. And that really woke the world up to this sort of capability. Very few other nations are developing these kind of vehicles. So I think the Albatros, particularly because it has swarming capability built in from the start, looks like it's really ahead of the curve on this technology. Typically, these are relatively short-range systems. I think this will have most application in fields like the Mediterranean.
So, Zoltan, the Turkish Navy's future light aircraft carrier, the TCG Anadolu, will soon receive upgraded drones and attack helicopters. So how will this ship increase the Turkish Navy's power projection, especially in disputed waters?
It will greatly increase the Turkish Navy's capabilities in the Aegean Sea, but especially in the Mediterranean Sea. And it will also put really political influence for Turkish decision makers in order to demonstrate their country's importance, relevance. And beyond military capabilities, as it was already mentioned several times, during peacetime, this kind of ship can be helpful in various disaster cases, which can also increase not just the Turkish hard power capabilities or image, but also its soft power capabilities as well. So by and large, it will greatly increase, especially the Turkish capabilities, especially vis-a-vis the Greek armies, as we can see an increased arm race between these countries.
So, David, what do you make of the overall Turkish efforts to reinforce its naval capabilities? Is it likely to alarm other regional countries?
Yes, I think that is already causing concern among neighbouring countries, particularly Greece. Anywhere where you have a significant shift in the balance of power, where one side gains new capabilities and the other side does not, that's likely to change the situation. And that's what we're seeing here with a whole new range of weapon systems coming to service and new technology being developed. So yes, rightly or wrongly, I think that is causing alarm.
So, Zoltan, especially for the TCG Will it be a game changer?
We will see. This kind of increased capabilities we also highly relied on the political and diplomatic understanding of several countries. And these kind of developments and modernization rather push Turkey in a more favorable position. They increase the room for maneuver of the country, and they will maintain a kind of upper hand over the agency and the Eastern Mediterranean. However, the other countries are well aware of this kind of development, so they try to counterbalance Turkey by conducting their own or creating their own military industry by increasing cooperation with various Western partners. In case of Greece, we can see as partner the United States and France, especially, and Italy lately, in order to somehow combat this kind of Turkish challenge.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.